Hey everybody, this is Eric Clark's Travel Videos, and I'm at Dunure Castle, and I'm going to show you the ride from Glasgow, or where they Greenock, where they let us off the boat, and the whole bus ride all the way through the countryside to right here. And it's a pretty amazing place. Let me show you the castle real quick, and then I'll show you the ride. Let's go take a look. And this is the castle, and the boat guy said the bus guy said we have 10 minutes. So I figure we'll take advantage of our 10 minutes here. So this is where the guy was from the bus guy talking about his story, where he was roasted or boiled alive in oil and then roasted on a spit, and then he gave up his land. And this is his land, and this is his view, and it is certainly amazing. Wow. Is this crazy or what? Look at this bench. How amazing is that? Wow. Wow. Very cool. Dunure Castle. Can you read that? I don't know if you guys can get all of that or not. Very cool. Oh, and you can go inside even. The door's open. Wow, get out of here, really? Do not climb on other areas. Wow. Look at this. Very neat. Wow. I only have 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to run. But look at the countryside. Very cool. Okay, everybody, this is Dunure Castle. And this is going to go along with the... Well, you know, I should just make this a separate video. Thank you so much. Wow. Very cool. Okay. Wow. Look at the rooms and stuff too. Huh. Very cool. Wow. Okay, everybody, I'm going to go take some regular pictures, and I hope you've enjoyed the castle. Bye, everybody.
Clyde estuary have not diminished, even if the huge hordes of visitors sailing through the water are not quite what they once were. But the Clyde, one of Scotland's great rivers, several great rivers associated with Scotland, the Clyde, the Forth, the Tay, the Spey, the Tweed. But I always think the Clyde is the queen of them all. And of course it has its own song. Some of you may have heard it. It goes, I sing of a river I'm happy beside. The song that I sing is the song of the Clyde. Of all Scottish rivers it's dearest to me. It flows from Lead Hills all the way to the sea. It passes the orchards of Lanark so fair, meanders through pastures with sheep grazing there. But from Glasgow to Greenock, mid-yards on each side, the hammer's ding-dong is the song of the Clyde. Oh, the River Clyde, the wonderful Clyde. The name of it thrills me and fills me with pride, and I'm satisfied whate'er may betide. The sweetest of songs is the song of the Clyde. You do not want to encourage me, folks, you really don't. So again, we see these red rocks down on the shore here as we make our way down towards the town of Largs. And this is a place that has, again, got very old historic associations, because in the year 1263, King Haakon of Norway was determined to reassert Norwegian control over the western seaboard of Scotland. So he sailed down here with a huge Viking fleet of longships, which anchored basically in the waters we see over to our right here. And the Scots under King Alexander III assembled a force to resist them, and they were camped on the mainland here at Largs. And the Vikings decided they would try and sneak ashore and do a surprise attack, catch the Scots while they were still sleeping in their camp. So at dead of night, they paddled ashore with muffled oars to disguise the noise, and again, to keep things as quiet as possible, they took their shoes and stockings off and started tiptoeing up from the beach towards the sleeping Scots in their camp on the shore. But what they had not reckoned with was that between the shore and the Scots camp was a field of thistles. So they trod into the thistles on their bare feet and started jumping up and down going, ow, 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 or whatever the Viking for that was. And of course the sleeping Scots were alerted, and they woke up and drove the Viking force back into the river with tremendous bloodshed. And ever since then, ladies and gentlemen, or so the story goes, the thistle has been Scotland's national flower. So again, that's the Isle of Bute on our right, the lower lying island. Behind that, the high peaks of Arran. And then the next island that's just coming up to our right, the island of Great Cumbrae. And Cumbrae is basically opposite Largs, so it's from Largs that you get the ferry across to Cumbrae. Largs is a very popular, again, place for visits. When I was a boy, we often used to come here on day trips. The problem always when you came to Largs in the car was finding a place to park, and I don't think that's changed over the years. But, these houses on the left have a wonderful view across the river, don't they? And these great picture windows. On a day like this, not too bad. I suspect on a bleak November night when the sleet is battering off your front window, it might not be quite so attractive, but there we are. And ahead of us, you can see that there is a large complex on that headland jutting out ahead of us. This is Hunterston, and the two big sort of white square blocks of building you can see there. This is actually a nuclear power station, Hunterston Nuclear Power Station. It's one of two nuclear power stations we have in Scotland. The other is on the east coast, south of Edinburgh. Very popular place for people to retire to, actually, Largs. the Viking connection with Largs, and there is in fact a Viking visitor centre here called Viking R, which I think is coming up shortly on our left hand side. I'll point it out. We're coming in towards the town centre now, in the main bay where the pier for the ferry is. So if you look to your left, that's Viking R's up there on the left, just coming up now, and they have a replica longship in there among other things. And that's the Cumbria ferry waiting to slip from its port. Last time I was in Largs actually was about a month or so ago, and I sailed all the way down from Glasgow on the paddle steamer Waverley, which is the last seagoing paddle steamer in the world. And we sailed down and got off the steamer here at Largs. To our left you can see there's a very striking Art Deco building, that white building called Nardini's. It's famous for its ice creams, and that building, I assure you, I think it was built in the 1930s. It's not changed at all since, either outside or inside. It was always a great treat when you were a wee boy to be taken to Nardini's for a Knickerbocker Glory or some other exotic ice cream cocktail. And this is really the centre of the town that we're just coming into now. And we'll be swinging left. That will take us up past the railway station, which will be on our right.
Which town is this?
This is Largs. L-A-R-G-S, Largs. So that's the railway station there coming up on our right. It trains from there into Glasgow. So really just coming out of the Largs now, ahead there's a road junction. We're going to be carrying straight on down the coast, but the road to the left takes you up to towards Kilbirnie. That is an extraordinarily steep hill to either drive up or come down in a car going up to the left there. It's called the Scaly Brae, and it is exceptionally steep. Just passing a golf course on the left there, Largs Golf Club. Golf, of course, is a game that was invented in Scotland and perfected here. And one of the features of Scotland is, I think, actually per head of population, Scotland has got more golf courses than anywhere else in the world. And a large proportion of those golf courses are public courses rather than being private members' clubs. Another marina over on the right there. I always think of the story of the Church of Scotland minister who was an absolutely fanatical golfer. Every spare moment he had, he was down at the golf course, either playing a match or practicing to improve his game. But the one thing that he had never done or presumed to do was to play golf on a Sunday. He had never played golf on the Sabbath day till one glorious summer Sunday morning he woke up and he looked out his bedroom window and the sun was blazing out of a cloudless blue sky, the birds were twittering in the boughs, all nature seemed to be summoning him forth to the links. So he had a look at his watch and he thought to himself, you know, I reckon I've time for a quick 9 holes before morning service. So he slung his clubs in the back of the car and headed down to the golf course. And to save time changing when he got back, he was wearing his clerical collar, his dog collar. Anyway, he was playing along, I think the 3rd or 4th hole. St. Peter looked down from heaven and spotted this and immediately called God over. He said, Lord, Lord, come here and have a look at this. And the Lord said, what is it now, Peter? He said, look, there is a minister playing golf on the Sabbath day. And the Lord says, well, what do you want me to do about it? And Peter said, Lord, you can't let him get away with this. This is the thin end of the wedge. You let one minister get away with something like this, and they'll all be at it. You've got to make an example of this man so that no minister will ever be tempted to profane the Sabbath in this way again. So the Lord said, well, all right, Peter, leave it with me. Next hole in the course was the hardest hole in the entire course. 540-yard par 5 with a vicious left-hand dogleg halfway down the fairway. The minister stood on the tee with his driver, swung through the ball. It soared into the air, reached the dogleg, executed a sharp left turn, bounced twice, rolled onto the green and trickled straight into the cup. He'd got a hole-in-one on a par 5. Peter could not believe his eyes. He turned to the Lord and said, Lord, what are you thinking of? I thought you were going to punish this man. You've just given him a hole-in-one on a par 5. And the Lord just said, who is he going to tell? This is the village of Fairley we're just passing through here. So that's the entrance to the port of Hunterston on the right, and also this is where you have the Hunterston nuclear power station that I pointed out earlier when we were looking ahead down the water. Over here to our right. now that we're approaching the middle of September, you can actually see some of the trees are just starting to acquire their autumnal tints. Another few weeks and there'll be a riot of golden colour as the autumn arrives in its full splendour. So we're now approaching the village of West Kilbride. There is another place, funnily enough, called East Kilbride, which is a much larger town than West Kilbride. But the name Kilbride, Kil is quite a common prefix to place names in Scotland, and it tells you that there was an ancient Celtic church foundation on that spot. And the name Kilbride tells you that the ancient church was founded by or dedicated to St. Bride.
Have you lived here all your life?
I've just been asked if I've lived here all my life. Well, it depends what you mean by living here. I was born and brought up in Glasgow, and I went to university at Glasgow, trained as a chartered accountant in Glasgow, and then I went out and I spent 5 years working in Hong Kong, and then I spent quite a few years after that, after I came back to UK, working in London. And then eventually I managed to get a safe return to Scotland, but I moved back to Edinburgh. So I've lived in Edinburgh for the last 26 years. So when you say, have I always lived here, it depends what you mean by here. I've lived most of my life in Scotland, but not all of it, and I've lived in different parts of Scotland. So,
What do you consider home?
I've just been asked what I consider home. Well, east-west, hame's best. I don't see myself moving from Edinburgh now, but I still think I am by nature a Glaswegian. Of course, there's traditionally little love lost between Glasgow and Edinburgh, Scotland's two largest cities, which are less than 50 miles apart. In Edinburgh, they say the only good thing to come out of Glasgow is the Edinburgh train. In Glasgow, they say that Edinburgh's the city that powders its nose and forgets to wipe its bottom. So you pays your money and you take your choice. I've lived in Edinburgh for 26 years, and I think that the locals are just about starting to accept me. So the Isle of Arran over there to our right, that's the largest of the Clyde Islands, and also far and away the most mountainous. It's got the Highland boundary fault, that great geological fault line that distinguishes the Highlands and the Lowlands runs through Arran. And just almost directly to our right now, once we're clear of these buildings, you should be able to see it, is there's an island at the southern end of Arran called the Holy Isle. It should be just about opposite us as we clear the town. This part is called Seamill, by the way.
Braveheart filmed in this area, or was it more north or east, or?
I've just been asked if Braveheart was filmed here. It was filmed in Ireland, nearly all of it. So the answer is no. And also, if you have been relying on Braveheart for your understanding of Scottish history, then I'm afraid that you have been sadly misinformed. It's generally felt unlikely that William Wallace painted his face blue and wore hair extensions. Entertaining Hollywood hokum, nothing more than that.
Any of the Game of Thrones filmed in this area?
That again is filmed in Northern Ireland, I believe. However, one that is filmed in Scotland is, I don't know if any of you have been watching any of the Outlander series.
Yeah. All the women have.
Yes, so I understand. I must admit, I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes of that series and then had to give up on it because it was annoying me so much because of its, well, the liberties, shall we say, it took with history. But although I have to say that the sort of mise-en-scène, I think the costumes and the settings were very well imagined from mid-18th century Scotland. But that was filmed at various locations across Scotland, and the studio work is filmed in studios at Cumbernauld, which is a town just outside Glasgow. But Game of Thrones, etc., I think it's all been done in Northern Ireland. So we are making our way down now to the towards the town of Ardrossan, which is we are not actually going to be going into Ardrossan, but if you look ahead, you can see that there's a large sort of headland jutting out ahead of us into the water, and that's where the port of Ardrossan is, and that's where you get the steamer or the ferry across to Arran, over to Brodick, which is the largest town on Arran. And if you look on over to the right hand side, you'll see there is a sort of large dome-shaped island or rock sticking up on the skyline there. That is the island of Ailsa Craig, and that is, we are going to be heading down the coast until we are just about opposite Ailsa Craig, which is an uninhabited rock that is basically made of granite. It's a volcanic plug, effectively. But the main thing that you get from Ailsa, I don't know if you are familiar with the sport of curling, which is basically where you throw large stones along some ice and try and get as close as possible to the centre of a target at the other end of the ice. It's very popular in Scotland, indeed many other countries around the world. It's sport at the Winter Olympics, among other things. But Ailsa Craig is the source of the granite for most of the world's curling stones. So this is our Drossen coming up on our right. We are not going in there, we're going to be skirting to the left now. But again, if you look over, you can see there the ferry waiting to head across to Arran.
What does rent go for in Scotland?
You can't hear that, sorry?
Rent? Like rent, to rent an apartment?
I'm sorry?
What does rent go for in Scotland?
I've just been asked what rent is like in Scotland. Well, I think that depends on a great number of things. It first of all depends on what sort of property you want to rent. It secondly depends on what part of Scotland you're in, so I can't give you a general answer to that. I know, for example, if you go somewhere in the city of Edinburgh, which is very expensive, then you could be talking of spending maybe £1,500–1,600 a month on renting a sort of 2 or 3 bedroom apartment in a nice area. But you know, very obviously in other parts of Scotland that would be a lot cheaper, and if you were looking for a smaller property it would be a lot cheaper. And Edinburgh is a particularly expensive place to live, so I can't give you a generic answer to that. It varies widely both by geography and type of property.
This is where I stayed, Joe. I stayed in town of Salt here. And you're about 500 a month.
Right, well there you are. Williams just said he stays in Saltcoats, which is the town coming up ahead of us on our right here. And he reckons there it'll be about 500 a month, so probably about a third of what it costs in Edinburgh.
Absolutely.
These days. But of course a lot of people don't rent their houses, a lot of people own their own houses. And again, the price of property will vary vaguely, vastly, from one place to another. If you wanted, for example, to buy a flat or an apartment in Edinburgh's Newtown, which is one of the most desirable areas to live in Scotland, you would almost certainly, for say a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment there, you would certainly be spending over £1 million to buy such a property. But of course you can get properties an awful lot cheaper in other parts of Scotland, or indeed different properties in other parts of Edinburgh for a lot less than that. So it's not one of these things you can just say generally, this is the price of property. One thing I think you can say is that it costs too much. But
Thanks, William.
So as you can see, we have come a good bit inland now, but that's giving us views looking down across the bay and ahead of us, and down eventually towards Ayr, which is the, if you like, original county town of Ayrshire, though in fact Ayrshire itself is divided into several different local authority areas now.
Is this considered a freeway or a highway?
This is what we call an A road, which means it's a principal road. We have 3 categories of road. A roads are principal highways, if you like, major routes. B roads are secondary routes, and M for motorway, these are what I think you call freeways. So we've got motorways, A roads and B roads, and then also you have unclassified roads, which are roads that don't even make it into the B road category. has to be said that the fact a road is designated an A road does not necessarily mean that it's going to be a superb road with dual carriageway and smooth stones like this. It just means it's a major route. So quite a lot of the A roads in Scotland are very narrow and windy, despite the fact that they are A roads. You can't really generalise like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, looks like the sun has decided to come out and play today. Let's hope he stays in a good mood. So we shall be passing by the town of Irvine. It's a very old borough and seaport, but it was one of a number of towns that in the years after the Second World War